Start recording. Stop recording. Button.
Hi, my name is Melissa Powell. Welcome to this video I'm doing on the Orbit Reader 20. We're going to start by talking about the advantages of having a Braille display, which I think the number one advantage is the portability. You know, Braille books are so big and so heavy and they take up a lot of room. But if you have a Braille display, you can read your books either on an SD card or on your phone. So let's go ahead and get started with the Orbit Reader 20, which is a basic note taker. It has an editor, a file manager, and it also has Bluetooth capabilities, so you can hook it to another screen reader. Let's go through the orientation. In the top left corner is the power button. If you press the power button and hold it for 2 seconds, the Orbit Reader 20 will turn on. If you leave the device sitting for 10 minutes without doing anything, it will go to sleep. And to wake up the device, you press the power button and tap it quickly. Next to the power button is the SD card, where you have your SD card. Next to that is your USB micro jack, where you would connect the USB cord to the Orbit Reader. Then on the top left of the Orbit Reader, you have your 1, 2, 3 keys. Go to the middle. You have your up, down, right, left arrow keys and your select. And then on the end you have 4, 5, 6. You have the next row of buttons. You have your dot 7 on the left, your space bar in the middle, it's the big button, and your dot 8 on the right. Go down under that to the very bottom of the display. You have 2 panning keys, one on the left, one on the right. And you have your 20 cell display in the middle. I'm going to talk about the file manager first, and then after that, if we have enough time, we'll talk about the menu. If not, we'll put it for another video. So when you open the Orbit Reader 20 and turn it on, the contents of the current file that you have been working in will be displayed on the Orbit Reader 20. So I'd like you to go press the dot 7, and this will take you back to the file manager. And the file manager is a list where you can select your files. Or you can see the files of a property, or the properties of a file. Such as the size, the date, the number of characters, the size of the file in kilobytes, and different things like that. There are different information headings in the files. To access the information headings, you can either press the panning keys. Pressing the down panning key will take you, pressing down will take you forward, and pressing on the up, the top part of the panning key will take you back. You can press right arrow or left arrow. Press right arrow will take you to the next file heading, and pressing left arrow will take you to the previous file heading. So again, to move to the next heading, you press your right arrow. To the previous, you press your left. So the first The first heading contains the file name, and the extension of the file. So for example, it might have the file name, and then it might say BRF or BRL or TXT. Then press the right arrow again. The next heading, it says the current position in the file, and then press the right arrow again. It'll tell you if it is a file or a folder. It'll tell you the number of characters in the file. Press the right arrow again. It'll tell you the last modified date of the file. It'll tell you whether the file is protected or unprotected. To move through the file list, you would press the up and down arrow keys. To open a file, press the select button or the .8 key. To go back a file level, press .7, and if you're in a file and you press .7, it'll take you back to the file list. If you're in a folder and you press .7, it'll take you, if you're in the root folder and you press .7, the Orbit Reader won't do anything. If you are in another folder with a file open and you press .7, it'll close the file, and then pressing .7 again will close the folder. So it moves you back a level each time you press the .7. If you're in one of the information file headings and you press .7, it'll take you back to the file name. To scroll through the text in a file, you would press the panning keys. And these are on the left and right sides of your display. Again, if you press the bottom of the key, you'll go to the next display of text. If you press the top of the key, you'll go to the previous display. These are rocker keys. To make a new folder, you need to focus in the file list, and then you would press space plus O. And this places you in an edit box where you can type in the name of the folder. And after you type the name in, you would press .8 to save your work. Or if you decide that you don't want to make another folder, just simply press the select key and the edit box will close. So after you create your folder, you are placed in the file list and the folder that you've created is now selected. So to open the folder, you would press the select button and that'll open the folder. Now you can create a new file inside of that folder. To do this, press space plus N. This opens up the editor, and this is where you will type your file. Now, the Orbit Reader 20 automatically uses the first 20 characters you type as the file name. So that will be the name of your file, so you want to make sure that you type it first, and then just go ahead and type the rest of your file. And after you get your file typed, you can just press select, and that'll close out the editor and save your work. You can create just a file in the main folder of the Orbit Reader 20. To do this, just focus in the file list and press space plus N, and then just type again the file name, and then just type your file in the editor and press select to close out the editor and save your work. You can also rename a file or a folder. To do this, focus on the folder or file in the file list that you would like to rename. Use your up and down arrows, then press space plus R. This places you in an edit field where you can type the new file name or the folder name. And after you're done typing that, you would press .8, and that will save the name of the folder or file. Or you can press the select key, and that will exit and make no changes. So as you can see, there's a lot of things that you can do with files. You can delete a file. To do this, focus on any file in the file list. Use your up and down arrows, and then navigate to the file or folder that you would like to delete. Then you just press D chord or D spacebar, and you will be given a confirmation message. And this will be a confirmation window, and it'll come up and it'll ask you, are you sure you want to delete this file or folder? And you would press .8 to confirm that, and the file or folder will be deleted. Or you can press .7 to exit out of that without deleting. Now, you can only delete empty folders on the Orbit Reader 20. You can cut a file. Use your up and down arrow keys to locate the file, then press space plus X. The file will be cut from its location, and it'll be placed on the clipboard. To paste the file, use your arrow keys to focus on the location on the file list where you would like to paste the file and press space plus V. To copy a file, focus in the file list on the file you would like to copy and press space plus C, and a copy of the file is placed on the clipboard and the original file remains in the file list. Then to paste the file, you move with your up and down arrows to focus where you would like to paste the file, and then you would press the space plus V and the new file will be pasted. If you want to move multiple files or folders at a time, you need to mark them first. Focus on the first file that you want to move and press space plus M. This will mark the file. Navigate with your up and down arrow keys to the subsequent files or folders you want to move. Then press space plus M on each folder or file. Then you can either cut or copy the files to move them. When you cut a file, it is cut from the location. When you copy a file, the original file is still left on the file list where you had it, and a copy is placed on the clipboard. So where you need to navigate in the file list with your up and down arrows where you would like to paste the new files, and press Control V and the files will be pasted in that location. And then press space plus V and they'll be pasted. Now if you paste a file that you've copied, the original file will have the file name, and the file that you have pasted will have the file name with an extension. And so for an example, let's say you have a file and its name is book, and that's the original file, and you paste the file that you have copied and pasted will have an extension at the end, so it might say book 1 or book 2, whatever it might be. To clear a marked file, focus on the file and press space plus M again, and this will clear the marked file. The Orbit Reader shows you when a file is marked by raising .7 and .8 by the first letter of the file name, so you'll be able to feel that that's marked. You can also protect a file. To do this, use your up and down arrow to focus on the file in the file list for which you would like to protect. Then press space plus P. This protects the file from editing. So this makes it so that you can't edit the file and accidentally change something. To unprotect a file, just focus on it again in the file list and press space P again, and this unprotects the file. You can also delete a file by focusing on the file in the file list and pressing space D like we did with the folders. You can open a file to edit by opening the file and then pressing E plus space bar. And when you open a file to edit it, then the editor opens and you can type in the file. And when you open up the editor to edit a file, the cursor will be placed at the first of the file. If you would like to move the cursor to the end of the file, press space 456, and this will move the cursor to the end of the file. And whatever you type in the editor, when you're editing the file, it will be saved. And to exit the editor and save your work, just simply press select, and the editor will close and your file will be back in reading mode. There is another command that's really handy. If you want to open the last edited file, you just press 1, 2, 4, 6, say you're reading a book and you're also taking notes on what you're reading. So you want to open the last file that you were editing, just press space 1, 2, 4, 6. This will open the file that you were typing in. Go ahead and type whatever you'd like to type. Press select again. This will close the editor and return you back to your file that you were reading. And the cursor will be placed where you left off in the file as well. These are the file moving commands. To move to the first file in the list, press dots 1, 2, 3 spacebar. This moves the file selection to the first file on the OR folder you are in on the file manager. So this will move you to the first file in the folder that you are in. To move to the last file, press space dots 456. This command moves the selected file to the last file in the current folder in which you're in. To incrementally search the name of a file in the file list, focus on the file list and type the name of the file that you are searching for quickly. The Orbit Reader will bring up the first place where that text is, and it will highlight it. And to open the file, you can press the Select button. Now the Orbit Reader does not translate any file on the SD card. You need to prepare the file up or download it to the SD card already translated, and the Orbit Reader will display the file in any language or code of Braille. So that's really nice. You can also hook the Orbit Reader to a desktop computer, and you can use the mass storage option, and you can download files to the Orbit Reader that way as well. These are the supported file types. BRF is formatted Braille. There is BRL, translated unformatted Braille. And then there's TXT, which is of course a text file. And there's ASCII, which is computer Braille. Now we're going to talk about the reader. When first powered on, the Orbit Reader displays the contents of the last accessed file on the SD card. To exit to the file list, press .7. When you are at the beginning of a file, Start of File is displayed. When you reach the end of a file, End of File is displayed. You can read text. With your panning keys. Go to Previous Display. You would press the top of one of the panning keys. To go to the next display, you press the bottom of one of the panning keys. To go to previous character, press left arrow. To go to next character, press right arrow. If you press the right arrow, you'll move to the next character, and the next character will be displayed on the right side of the display. You can also press space .3 to move to the previous character, or space .6 to move to the next character. To move to the previous word, press space left arrow. To go to the next word, press space plus right arrow. To go to the next line, press you can also use space .2 and space .5 to go to next or previous line. Press up or down arrow. You can also press space .1 or .4 to go to previous or next page. Press .3 or .6 to go to the top of or bottom of a file. Press .4 or .1. I mean .7, sorry. Okay, to go to the previous or next file, you can press .4 or .1, or you can press .123 space or .456 space, and to exit the file, you press 7. To create a bookmark, press space plus M. To navigate to previous bookmark, press .2. To navigate to the next bookmark, press .5. To power move, search forward or backward, press .8 plus up arrow. Now, when you do a power search, it moves you 50% through the document, and then after you get to 50%, that becomes the new boundary, and the first boundary still stays at the first of the document, and then you will move another 25%. So you would move from 50 to 75, or you would move from 50 to 25, depending if you're going back or forward. There's another thing you can do if you want to find Braille. You can press space plus F. This brings up an edit field. You need to type the Braille exactly how it was written. So if it's written in contracted Braille, you need to type it in contracted Braille. If it's written in grade 1 Braille, then you need to type it in grade 1 Braille. And then you would press .8 to start searching. And then you would press .7 to exit again. To continue searching, just press .8 continually until you find the text that you would like to read. Okay, now we're going to edit a file. You would press the E spacebar, and then you would type the text, and then you can either press space plus S to save the text whenever you want, or when you close out the editor, Orbit Reader automatically saves the text. Now we're going to talk about the menu. So press .7 to close out your file list. Now I gotta press it a couple times. Okay. Now to open up the menu, press select up arrow. The first item in the menu is the battery, and this shows the percentage of the battery. And so you can go here when you're charging the unit to check the percentage of the battery. The American Printing House for the Blind recommends that you charge your Orbit Reader 4 hours either before or during the first use. And when you're working with the Orbit Reader, when the battery gets to 10%, it will, the last cell on the Braille display will blink on and off. The next option is cursor blink. This is if you're in an editor and you're typing, the cursor will blink on and off in the current location of the cursor. Because the Orbit Reader 20 does not have cursor router keys, but it will blink on and off in its location, so you'll be able to tell where it is. If you press your right arrow, you can change the cursor blink options. You have 1 second, press the right arrow again to 5 seconds, press it again to 15 seconds, and then you have 30 seconds, then you have 60 seconds, press the right arrow again, and then you have off. And to select one of those options, press the select key. The next option is sort name ascend. This would sort your files alphabetically from A to Z. Press the right arrow to go to the next option in the submenu. It's sort date, so this will sort your files by date. Press the right arrow again. It'll sort size, will sort the files by size. Sort last, it'll sort the last from the bottom of the list to the first of the list. And sort name ascend or descend will sort from Z to A. And then press your down arrow to move to the next option. This is split words. You can turn it off or on. I have it on. This allows the Orbit Reader to split words. And so to turn it on, press the right arrow and you'll locate the on button and then press the select key. The next option is filter .7. Press the down arrow key again. This will filter .7 when you're reading. You can turn it off or on. To turn it on, press the right arrow 1 time and press the select key. The next option is wrapping on. This turns the word wrap on, so when you reach the end of the line, the next part of the word will go to the next line as it wraps the text. You can, by default, it's turned off. Press the right arrow, go to the on button and press select if you'd like to turn it on. press your down arrow. This next option is compress spaces. A lot of times when you're reading a book, there will be a lot of empty spaces, a lot of empty lines. So the Orbit Reader will try to eliminate these to make it easier to read on a braille display. You can turn this option off or on. To turn it on, so press the right arrow and select the on button. The next option is load language localization. This is if you want to download a localization file onto the SD card that contains a different language. If you would like to do this, I would encourage you to read the user's guide and find out how to do this. The next one is switch language. Press your down arrow. Again, if you want to learn more about switching to another language, please consult the user's guide. The next one is encoding ASCII. The ASCII is like computer braille for English. If you press the right arrow, you can switch it to Unicode. This would be for maybe a different language. Press your down arrow again. This is your version number, and the version number, you can update your Orbit Reader by hooking it to a Windows computer and updating it. The next one is your serial number. It's nice to know your serial number for warranty information, or if you're calling the American Printing House for the Blind and you have a specific question about your unit, you may need to give them your serial number. Go down again with your down arrow. The next option is reset defaults. This option allows you to reset your Orbit Reader to factory defaults. To do this, just push the select button. The next option is USB HID. Some screen readers require the HID protocol to connect. To select this option, you would press the select button. Go down with your next arrow. The next one is Bluetooth Auto. This will automatically connect to a device via Bluetooth, and you would press select to choose this option when you want to Bluetooth to something. Press the right arrow one time, and you could go to Bluetooth manual, and you would press select if you want to manually Bluetooth. And then the next option is Pair Just Works. What this does is the Orbit Reader generates a code, and the code is Pair Just Works, and it sends it to the host device that you're trying to pair with through Bluetooth. And so you can just connect automatically by going into your Orbit Reader, making sure that the Bluetooth is turned on to auto, and then going into your screen reader settings and selecting the braille display. If you press the right arrow one time, you have a confirmation code where you can choose to Bluetooth with the confirmation code, and you would have to check the confirmation code on the Orbit Reader and on the device that you are Bluetoothing to make sure that they match. This is a little bit secure method to Bluetooth. You would push select to choose this option. The next one is emulation. You can turn this on or off. This has to do with screen readers. If you're using an older screen reader, like on the iPad, if you're using iOS, anything older than iOS 10.2, then you have to turn on the emulation mode, which converts the Orbit Reader to an 18 refresh braille, 18 braille display. And that's the mode that you have to use for older screen readers. So kind of consult your documentation on this to make sure of what mode that you need to use. And then you go back, when you press the down arrow again, it takes you back to the first item on the menu, which is battery. This is all I'm going to cover today in this video. I hope that you've enjoyed it, and I hope that you have a great day.
Stop recording.